Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. So today, what we can see to start the day is that things are dropping. If we look at Bitcoin here, what we can see is that Bitcoin has basically been coming down for the last, I don't know, like it didn't go down yesterday, but it realistically felt like it's been coming down since about the 14th of August, and today we're the 29th, so for 2 weeks we haven't really seen much positive price action, and you can really tell that over there on like crypto Twitter. Everyone's infighting, even with some of the amazing news that we've had recently. And excuse these drawings, I'm going to take them off because I was writing about that in the newsletter. And the newsletter comes out tomorrow, guys, and so I'm trying not to just repeat everything that I've said in that newsletter, but I've gone in depth on where I think we are in the markets. And as I said, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but you can really tell on crypto Twitter that price has come down for the last few weeks. Realistically, we were only come down from 123,000 to right now at 109,500. But it feels like the world's ending over there on crypto Twitter, which makes me think that the bottom is closer than people think. Now, going back to trading different and looking at liquidity, there is a high chance at this price that we do sweep the 106k level there for Bitcoin, where there's dense liquidity. But taking us to a wider time frame, I do think that it's a short-term move, and however long short-term is, I don't know. I did think we'd get more aggressive in this move, but to the upside. But what we can see here is there is liquidity above us. The main liquidity is above us at 126k, and then we have more building at 141k. And you can't even see the 106k liquidity here, really. It's not very dense in any stretch compared to what is above us. So that story kind of reiterates across most altcoins. Aside from ETH here, I do think ETH at some point has a bit of a time to cool off, and we start to see the top 10 alts aside from ETH start to rip. I think XRP is one of those that's going to be a big beneficiary of a move to the upside. We can just see more and more dense liquidity building above us. Yes, we have liquidity below. Again, how deep this pullback goes, I don't know. But if we look at what XRP has been doing, it hasn't actually closed a daily candle yet. Well, for a while. Well, since August the 3rd, it hasn't closed a daily candle below 285. We're today at 285, so whether we close below, I don't know. And as I said, this move for me is a short-term move. And any dip at the minute is for buying, in my opinion. I've been saying that for weeks. I said when we started to get towards all-time highs, I said, look, if we get any pullbacks, the narrative's probably not going to be great, but they're an opportunity to buy, and I feel like that. And that's basically what I've reiterated through the newsletter with some other information as well. And nothing has changed there. If we take us down to the lower time frames, I'm going to take us down to the hourly here, for example, on Bitcoin. What we can see is we're in that oversold territory again on the hourly. So whether we do get a further pullback or not from here, I don't know. We're oversold on ETH, we're oversold on XRP's hourly. In fact, we're mostly more oversold on XRP than anything else here. And if we do reverse from this area, it's a bullish divergence or a hidden bullish divergence as the RSI is making a lower low and price would make a higher low. Now, do I think we definitely reverse from here? Again, guys, I really am unsure. But realistically, as I keep saying, in these areas, even for XRP, I think that there's value in buying XRP here, especially spot, or starting to take a long position at the bottom of a range, which is essentially where we are. We've got all this liquidity building above us. There's liquidity building above this white line here. Liquidity here. There's liquidity above this line. And I think that we're in a bull market. I know a lot of people are starting to call for tops, which I think is kind of ridiculous, seeing what we've seen out of the US, that yesterday they said they were going to publish their GDP on chain using Link and Python network for oracles and then publishing it to a lot of different blockchains. Looking at what's happening with monetary policy around the world, looking that the Fed want to cut potentially in September, looking that Trump is trying to dominate the fiscal market in the US. I just think that everything is spelling upside potential for risk on, and right now you're getting a severe discount in crypto. And look, this could last a little bit longer. It always can. I think the S&P is ripping it right now, and at some point the S&P will cool off. But when we start to get into price discovery for any asset, trying to guess when that cool off is going to be is a bit of a fool's game, because it can always go higher and wreck your opinion. Like even look where we're potentially opening today. You could argue this is support, and then we again continue. The Dow Jones just went into price discovery as well, and the Russell 2000 broke through retracement levels. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is this, although it looks and feels bearish, is pretty bullish structurally. Like if we look at XRP, the 270 level that someone said isn't a swing high, for some reason they commented like, why do I think that's a swing high? Well, from the 50-cent level that we rallied to the 260, 270, and then we changed direction from 270 down for a few weeks, and that's why it's called a swing high, because we swung down towards lows again at $2, and since then have basically, apart from this one deviation, chopped around the 270 sort of 280 level, and now we're holding above that, and we have been since this first aggressive little leg up of this most recent move, which happened and finished in the 17th of July, and now we're the 29th of August. I haven't got too much more I can really help you with here today, guys. We've talked about total market cap of crypto. We're talking about how this is broken all-time highs a few weeks ago. It's consolidating around all-time highs. Total 2's pretty much the same. We touched them all-time highs and we're consolidating around there. This is just, look how little price action is actually happening in this area in terms of percentage. It's nothing. And total 3 hasn't yet got that break, but again, we're pushing up towards all-time highs after coming from December of 2022, slowly working our way up, and then we're right at that level now, and it seems to be where everyone's starting to get negative and fearful. And I think that that's the opposite of what's about to happen. I think we're about to break out and see euphoric parabolic moves to the upside. Bitcoin dominance, there is arguments at the minute that we could see a potential bounce here for dominance. Whether we do or we don't, again, I don't know. Don't think it's massively important, because I do think even if Bitcoin does start to push up, I think alts will go with it, but I just think Bitcoin maybe would steal the show in that situation. However, I'm not sure whether it will or it won't. I don't think that that's, like, people are using it as a bearish scenario for altcoins. I mean, I can kind of see it in a way. Let's just get rid of some drawings. They're basically saying that it's mainly Ben Cohen, though, to be honest, who's pretty much a perma bear on crypto, even though he's been in the space for, I don't know, 10 years. He's saying, look, this will hold, and then we're going to set higher highs for Bitcoin dominance. I don't know. Are we? And if we do, I don't really think it's a negative. I think it's probably when all assets start to rise together. I personally believe that we could still continue to see downside price action for Bitcoin dominance. Maybe we see a short-term bounce, because the daily and the weekly, the daily, look, the 3-day, and I'll put it on the weekly as well. If you look at the RSI at the bottom here, is slightly towards the oversold area. The weekly is not quite there yet, but normally, like, when you get into that area is when things start to get really aggressive. Look, just look at my cursor. When you hit the oversold on the weekly, boom, you really start to get that push down, and that's something that I've said, look, I think it's coming at some point, and the monthly is the best highlighter of that. We've got big volume on the monthly as the Bitcoin dominance starts to bleed out, and we've crossed bearish. So anyone arguing the other side of the spectrum, I can understand. Like, I see the argument, but I don't know if I agree or not. And I also don't think it's that relevant. I think it's, again, people just clutching at things to try and create a narrative and say, oh, look, I was right. Like, if that happens, and even it's kind of like a hedge against price action. So basically what I'm saying is, I think it's time to buy the dip. I think it's time to buy the dip in altcoins. Whether the dip continues or not, I don't know. Keep buying if it does. I think it's a blessing. And other than that, that's all I've really got to tell you on this video. I'm in a Doge long still. I think my ETH Classic long is probably being stopped out as we talk. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it's just been stopped out there, which is obviously great news. Not. But we're in Doge. Doge is my biggest position. It's just a 2x long, and I keep adding to it when I get some capital. So that's basically the way I'm playing this right now. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with a friend, and let me know if you've got any questions in the comment section below. Please go and check out the weekly newsletter, which comes out tomorrow. I cover a lot of the different altcoins that I'm looking at, and a bit more sentiment and technical analysis in depth over there. Peace up, A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.